We are looking at this Untitled watercolor by Margret Sutton that the UMW Galleries has attributed with the subtitle of I, Railroad Tree. This work was most likely created in the mid-1940s in New York City. So this piece was made through layerings of watercolor, and so we're going to kind of go around each section and describe what's going on. The bottom left of the painting is a city landscape, which reflects a lot of the buildings in New York City. There's a church that cuts through the left of the composition, and Sutton would have many works on churches in the 1980s, so this could be seen as a precursor to those works. Sutton then paints a railroad throughout the watercolor that wraps from the heart tree, which will be talked about later, behind the church, and then from left to right across the middle of the page. It can be assumed that this is a roller coaster track for a couple of reasons. First is because of the detailed line work put into this. Sutton uses a lot of repeated short lines, which resemble the slats on, say, a wooden railroad track. This railroad then has small wheels painted under them, which is a mechanism used in roller coasters to pull a cart along. Another small detail that adds to this roller coaster narrative is that there seems to be an outline of a coaster cart sketched here on the side. Finally, this track is supported by a green crisscross pillar between the buildings on the left of the composition. After the roller coaster, the most prominent imagery in this watercolor is the hearts throughout the painting. This is seen by the heart tree on the bottom right, which blossoms upwards, and then there is a flurry of hearts across the top of the railroad. This quote-unquote heart wind could allude to the rush that is felt while riding a roller coaster. So the biggest question of this watercolor are the two tiny details in the top center. What are the eye and the hands? So we can see that the arms for these hands start on the left and are behind all this other watercolor detailing. They seem to hold a white string which loops into the circle shapes on the left. And then there is this very prominent eye over the top of the forearms. These inclusions could be a metaphor for the actions taken by a person riding a roller coaster with their eyes wide and their hands up. A fun hidden detail of this section is that when you connect the eye, one of the circles, and the track underneath of it, it forms a smile. Now, the color work in this watercolor reflects the use of color theory by German-American painter Hans Hofmann, who Sutton had studied under in the late 30s. This is one of his paintings, Autumn Gold, from 1957. As you can see, his color work draws the eye to different sections of the piece, having the viewer carefully analyze each section. So here are both Sutton and Hofmann's works next to each other. As you can see, both of these artists love their color and heavily incorporate its theory into their work. A specific section where you can see how layering makes certain items pop is the layering of traditionally darker colors over lighter. This can be seen on the Hofmann piece here, with this deep maroon being layered over green. It can be seen on the Sutton painting with the red heart being layered over some yellows and whites, and the crossing pattern on the roller coaster support being layered over a light green. This watercolor is 100% chaotic, and it reflects the chaos of life Sutton must have experienced in New York. However, and hopefully with this intimate breakdown, it is proven that the elements of this beautiful work do have a sense of cohesion and a very interesting slice of life story is told.